welcome to MagicCon, it says on the screen. Very nice.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Now, I love Bridgerton. Well, as many people also loved Bridgerton. Did you, because obviously in Merlin you have all this fighting work that you did to prepare for all the fights and did you have similar sort of deportment or dancing lessons, or?
Do you know what? I was very disappointed that day. I didn't have any dancing lessons, and because I would be in balls, but I'd stand on the edge, a bit like I do in real life, in discos. But yeah, I was waiting for it, and I knew the choreographer. He had taught me at acting school. He said, "When are you going to be in a ball?" I even had my own ball. I think there was a Featherington ball.
Yes, it was huge.
I was waiting, and then no, I had a horse riding lesson. I was like, I can do that, and then it wasn't needed. And a rowing lesson, but no dancing.
A specific rowing lesson.
It's very specific. So I had quite a few, and then so they taught me everything but the dance.
Oh.
So I'm left without that skill.
Yeah. Oh, that's something.
Yeah, it's been really hard in life.
Oh, well, I feel badly for you. I'm sorry. I would have thought that would have been, one of the basic skills.
Well, I know. That's why I said yes to the job, and then, it's disappointing.
Oh. And how was it for you being? Because sometimes it's tricky as an actor. Like that show had been going for 2 seasons.
Yeah, just under one.
Just under one. So everyone has kind of got their family ties, and it's so the whole point of that time was that everyone was really the alliances and the sort of the cheating and all the backstabbing and all that stuff going on, that you were really tight with your family or your friends, and then you were just kind of new guy on the block.
Yeah.
Was that tricky?
It was really tricky. I think it was kind of useful for the part because I was meant to be this new guy, so that kind of helped. But I have to say, I think what was interesting about season 1 was that it had come out during COVID. So weirdly, even though people had heard it within the cast that the show was, I think, like the most watched show in the history of the world, people in the cast hadn't kind of realised that because no one had left their house. So it's not like everywhere they walked, people were going, "Oh my God, I love your show." So there was an element of everyone had been told it was massive, but they hadn't necessarily experienced it. So they still had that lovely feeling of welcoming new people, and they were so grateful to be working, and it was generally one of the loveliest welcomes I've ever had, because you kind of walk in and it was quite hard being the kind of slightly dodgy character, because I was like, oh, I quite like this family. I feel like I'm settling quite well. So it was one of the warmest environments I've ever stepped into. Like, it was so welcoming, so lovely. Lots of beautifully vulnerable people who were just so thrilled to be there, wearing incredible costumes and being still overjoyed by being in this kind of beautiful, massive world. Yeah. So it was lovely.
Yeah. And did you enjoy more so, because you would have been very clean in Bridgerton and very, nice outfits and all really done up. And then in Merlin, you were like smash, crash, bash.
Yeah.
Lots of dirt. As you spoke about that, you sort of got a lot of grey dirt off your chainmail.
Yeah, it was non-stop. I think I'm still getting it off. But yeah, I think it was. Merlin took a lot less time to get ready. It was literally almost a kind of shake of the head, and you're like, right, you're good to go. Oh, you're too neat. Wait a sec. It was kind of, you had to walk through kind of bushes backwards, and then you were ready. So yeah, with this it was very clean and very, you definitely had to cover up when you were eating lunch, and everything fitted so perfectly. Bridgerton, the costume department are just exquisite. I've never worn things that actually, you normally get measured on jobs, and then you get the costume that looks nothing like the actual measurements they took. But everything was just precise, and so yeah, it was definitely. I think my family were very pleased to finally see me look respectable and clean shaven, which I very rarely am anyway. So I'm probably more the Merlin side than than the clean cut Bridgerton. I feel I'm in the middle today.
Yeah.
That little kind of nod to both of them.
And did that help you? Do you think that helped your character being so precise and buttoned down? And
yeah, I think that's what's amazing about it is you do obviously do some work, and then when you turn up and you are in the costume, and you stand up straighter, and you are suddenly wearing these clothes that not that it's so tight you can't bend over, but you have a kind of valet, and you have you're walking into this amazing room that is yours, and it does have this. It's hard not to kind of stand up straight, which again is something I'm being so tall I normally go the other way, but that it definitely did the work for you. So actually it was quite. I sat in the chair, they made me look nice, put the costume on, made me stand up straight, and then I just had to learn my lines and say them in a nice way, and it was it was relatively easy. I shouldn't say that. I obviously worked very hard, but yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, because that was a really lovely. I think you walked the line. It seemed, you were charming and kind of like, oh, he's nice, and then you sort of realize, oh, he's a little bit dodgy, and
which is the fun part to play, I think. And I spoke to someone when they were saying when they were casting, one of the reasons they cast me was they thought, oh, he's really likable, and we won't think he is that dodgy, and you don't see that from day one. And I knew there was a twist, and I assumed it was that, but I also didn't really want to know exactly.
You didn't know?
No, I knew that I was told that there was a twist. He's like this charming, perfect guy who turns up, and then he said, then there is a little twist, and I went, oh, actually, don't necessarily tell me that, because if they say he's really dodgy, I would blatantly turn up and be like, try and pretend not to play it, but it's very hard. So yeah, when it did happen, I went, there we go. It's the beginning of the end.
Now we do have someone are you in the circle of lava? There she is.
Fantastic.
Yeah, in the middle. There's someone who wants to ask a question. Is this? Sorry, we're almost, we'll be with you. Yes, sorry.
Hi, good afternoon. It's good seeing you guys again. This might be a bit off the mark, but we know that Colin wrote a book, found a publisher, and I believe Bradley said he is about to write a book, or is in the process. Bradley, yeah. So if you were to write a book, which kind of genre would we be looking forward to reading from you?
Wow, how to ease me into an easy question.
Sorry.
No, it's good. Wow. I mean, first of all, Colin, I hear is probably being published next year. I think it sounds incredibly exciting, and I think it's always hard. And Owen's written books as well, so they're all very talented. The rest of the Merlin cast. I think the genre I'd probably start with a children's book, maybe a pop-up book. Maybe, you know what I would like to do? I would like to write an adventure book. I remember as kids there used to be, if you think you should do this, turn to page 45. If you think you should do that, turn to page 6. So I think one of those, I don't know what the genre is called, is it adventure book? One of those, do you know which book I'm talking about?
Yes.
You kind of you decide. I think something like that. I haven't seen one of those for a while. So let's go with that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hello.
My question is what do you like more as actor? To be in a movie, TV show, or a theater?
That's a very good question. I think in my experience, I always wanted to be doing the thing I'm not doing at the time. It's because actors, I think you learn, are never happy. Whatever they're doing, they're always going, I just want to be doing it in a theatre. Oh, I'm doing theatre. No, when I said theatre, I actually want to be doing movies. Do a movie? Oh, I just want to be in a series. I've been very lucky that I've been able to do all of them, really, and not through necessarily choice, just things that have come my way in my career. I think there's so many brilliant things in all of them, in my experience. So I love, with theatre, I love the rehearsal period that you very rarely get in film and TV. You do get it on some projects, but I love the rehearsals, the group dynamic. You know, there's nothing better than working in a really feeling part of a team and, you know, turning up every day, warming up together. And the fact that it changes every night, and you get to collectively, there's a big audience full of, you witness people experiencing that, whereas TV and movies, I suppose in the cinema you get it a little bit, but in theatre there's something so exciting about it. Also in my experience, I've done plays and things that I will, 6 months into a run, suddenly come up with an idea or think of something that has blown my mind that it's taken me that long to think of, and I'll go, why did I not think of that in rehearsal? And so it's always changing, so I love that element of it. Whereas I think, and I think sometimes with rehearsal, you will rehearse a play and week one you're blocking a scene and you're getting to know people, and then before you know it you're running, and the thing when you run the play, the first few scenes you blocked in week one when you were very nervous around people, it's a bit tentative, and sometimes that can be stuck, but you can then really develop it. Whereas in TV, again, in my experience with Merlin and Bridgerton, there was a kind of collective, almost play-like feel to it, that you could have fun in scenes, and there was trust, and I think that's one of the most joyous things, and when you can be as good as you can be, is when you trust everyone you're working with and you're as relaxed as possible. Which theatre, because you rehearse, you feel relaxed most of the time, whereas in TV and film it sometimes takes a bit more time. So I've meandered by answering your question, but I would say a kind of combination, and it depends in life. Sometimes theatre can overtake your life if you do a long run. It's quite hard with family life, you only have one day off a week, and you're always working, and so it depends on, there are pros and cons to all of them, but I just enjoy all the genres really. So I haven't answered your question, but I'll say all of them. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Is there someone right at the bottom?
Oh, at the top.
Sorry, I'm kind of nervous right now. But I saw a picture recently where someone was saying basically that Sir Leon often survived things other people didn't, like all knights died except for Sir Leon, and at one point he even were chased by men on horses, but he still managed to get rid of them. And he always survived, so people saying he's immortal. So what are you thinking about this? And do you think he has some special powers he's not telling us about?
I love this question. I always answer this in a kind of, I think I know the answer, but my personal answer is yes, he's immortal. I like the idea that he is still out there. There was very much, I think the journey of Sir Leon was kind of glorious, because I joined series 2, at the end of that series, I think there was a big dragon attack, and Sir Leon very much did not make it out alive, and I was desperate to try and, in the last shot we'd seen in the background, crawling back to Camelot, just in case. And I remember being told, look, we might get you back next year, and when my family watched the last episode, they would go, how do we tell him he's definitely not coming back? I was like, no, I'm definitely, they've been telling me that I'm probably going to be coming back. And I think luckily, due to fans, and I think the producers were staggered that so many people very sweetly had gone, is Sir Leon coming back? We love Sir Leon. I think I was the first knight who actually said anything and had a name, and they were like, is he coming back? That's all we want to know. And so I think they thought I must have some, filth on other actors or some kind of, so they were like, we better bring him back. And I think my first scene in series 3 is in soft focus. It was the most unglamorous. He's back, he's still alive. So yes, I very much like the idea that Sir Leon is very much was one of the last men standing. So yes, I agree wholeheartedly that Sir Leon is immortal.
Thank you so much for answering.
Thank you.
Because that began as a one-line role, and you didn't think that was going any much further than that.
No, it was one of those times. I remember it had been quite quiet, and I was asked to audition for 2 nights, and I went along, and I think the first night ended up being played by a stuntman and killed without saying anything, and then they said, you know, I got this part, and I think series 1 had come out, and I remember I auditioned, and they said, yeah, great, and in the read-through they said, oh, could you read this other random night's lines, and then before I know it, they kind of gave me a few more, and as I said, then the cast went, oh, he's quite fun. And then they kind of gave me more and more, and I messed up, I've said this many times, but I messed up my first line. I remember Richie Wilson saying, you're excited? And I went, no, I will mess my line up. And he went, okay. And there's this big scene between him and Colin, and I came in to say, the king commands your presence immediately, we'll never forget it, except for that day. And then completely messed it up. My chainmail was like, and then just sitting backstage going, okay, presents, Christmas presents, okay, try and get, okay. And then walked on, so like ridiculously nervous. And the more nervous and more, you know, you make a mistake and then it just gets worse and you say words that don't mean anything. And then, yeah, luckily I had a few more bits to do. And it kind of became a story. They went, oh, you're the guy who just messed up the easiest line. I went, yeah, here we go. So I think that helped. I think my ineptitude, they felt so sorry for me. They were like, let's give him another go. And yeah, then it became this kind of beautiful 4 years of kind of joy. And yeah, and I think I always tell people, you never know what these things are going to lead to. Especially, you constantly go for things that this could become bigger, and there was under no illusion. You just want to work on good projects with good people, and you turn up, and if you're, you know, I got on well with people, and I'd like to think I was easy to work with. Not anymore, I'm a nightmare, but back then I was innocent. And yeah, so it was, you know, I'm a top trump card, and you know, all those things that were just joyous.
That's fantastic. A good piece of fortune. That's lovely. Every actor's sort of dream, I think, is that their one line will become 4 years. That's so great. Hello.
You've gotten to film in some very fun locations, for example, the beautiful Chateau Pierrefonds. What's your favorite and least favorite thing about filming on location in comparison to filming in a studio?
As opposed to filming in the studio?
Yeah.
My favourite part, I mean, especially talking of Chateau Pierrefonds, which was one of the most magical places to film. Have you visited?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
During filming.
Yeah, it's just incredible. So when we were filming, you said?
I was first there when you were filming season 3, and then again, I think for season 5 once, but pretty much filming had already finished by then.
Right. No, it was one, I think when we first arrived, or when I first visited Chateau Pierrefonds, there's something just so magical, because as you know, the kind of castle appears, and it just suddenly appears, and everyone thinks it's CGI, and you turn up and it is this, it's just an incredible place. And again, being dressed as a knight, holding a sword, and kind of fighting within that, fighting this dragon, even though it's imaginary, but you have these kind of flames being thrown, and you have arrows on fire. It was just, there was nothing more exciting, and even night shoots there, it was just so, I think probably my favourite filming experience is when you're kind of freezing cold, but it's like 3 in the morning and you're doing it slightly rainy, and it was just so incredible. And again, then we were so lucky that we had such a big fan base that, especially series 5, you set out the car and you would have, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of people were kind of waiting for you. You felt like a rock star, but also you realised how big the show was and how loved it was, and how the show was as big as the fans, and it was, you know, they continue to give and, you know, show their kids, and you know, such a kind of was such a kind of wholesome experience. So in terms of the set, that was magical. And when the kind of 5 nights, you know, they all got together and we would ride a horse over the bridge, or we would be in our caves. It was, you know, we did become little boys playing sword fights and pretending to be knights, but also being watched by hundreds of people trying to make it look like we were really cool and really taking it in our stride. But there was nothing better than those times. And I think, you know, when you say the worst locations, I'm trying to think I suppose I think there was one place when we were in a wood somewhere in Wales and it was absolutely teeming it down with rain. It was just a nightmare for every department. You know, for us it was kind of hard, but not really. But it was like the hair and makeup, you know, having to hair dry us down, and you know, big dryers. Every reset took forever. Those kind of things can be a nightmare for everyone, and the mood just gets a little bit heavy. Whereas, yeah, I think Pier will continually be somewhere I love, and I keep meaning to go back and kind of just go and visit it, and because it's such a fantastic place.
You should, it's fun.
Yeah, I bet. I'd be disappointed if they, you know, go, why, who are you? I'd be like, it would be quite weird having to organise it myself. It was, you know, again, being an actor, someone goes, this is where you'll be, we'll pick you up. And so to actually make my own way now, how does this work? How do you do it? But I will go back.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I would like to pick up on the theatre process. 10 years ago, I was lucky to see you in the High Society musical, and I always wondered if performing and also rehearsing a musical is much more nerve-wracking than a normal regular play, or is it actually easier? Can you improvise more?
Improvise. Doing musical. I wouldn't say it's easier. There's something. I love doing musicals. I don't love them doing all the time because I think High Society I had an amazing time. It was a very, it was a kind of dream role for me, and it was, I can't believe it was 10 years ago. It was like and I was in it. It was such an incredible theatre to be in, being in the round, a show that people absolutely loved, which brought its own kind of nerves. I remember weirdly in High Society, it was so big that I never kind of felt nervous because there was so many things I could worry about because, you know, High Society, the movie is one of my favourite films and so many people's favourite films. So when you're casting a role that Bing Crosby played or in the film version Cary Grant played, and then people are going, who's Rupert Young? Who's this guy? I was aware of that, and I was aware also in the round you could see everyone, so if someone was yawning or if I started singing, they went, oh God, and again, which happened once. But it was just fun. I remember a friend of mine saying, you just got to enjoy singing these incredible songs with an incredible band. So in terms of musicals, it takes over your life. Certainly mine. I'm someone who, you wake up in the morning, you see if your voice is working, you can't go to noisy places, you make sure you drink loads of water, you really look after yourself. So it does become, you have to, for me it was like 10 hours sleep. I became so kind of regimented. If I don't have 10 hours then, I've got to find an hour somehow. But there's nothing better than singing with a group of people and rehearsing that and just, it's just joyous, and then the audience, you feel that. Whereas plays, you can be a little bit, not more relaxed, but you can go out a bit more, and I suppose there's something that shifts in your brain. You're not constantly worried, will I be able to take these notes, or will I crack a note, and actually last year, I lost track of time, but I did a musical in the West End it was 6 months before COVID, and ended up being a year after COVID. And so that was the first time I did a year, which ended up being 18 months, and that was a very long time. Like your mind starts playing weird tricks. Like one night, you're never going to be healthy every night for a year, and you're constantly, I don't know, I suppose I didn't have as much to sing in that, but it became even more insane. My mind was going, oh, you cracked a note the other day, and then that beats into your head for 2 or 3 weeks, and you start going, oh, is this is this going to go insane? Whereas high society, I think I didn't have time to worry really. After it, I then kind of collapsed for a few months. But at the time, yeah, I think I do love working with brilliant musicians again, and working in musicals is just so joyous. So as much as when I finished the last musical, I thought, right, never again. And then now I'm beginning to go, I quite miss that discipline, and I haven't sung for a while, kind of getting back into that training. And it is quite fun, but you have to be it's much more hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, because sort of gone are the days where there's all these people that are going to fill in for you if you're ill or you kind of just got to keep going.
Well, actually, the last job I did have what we did.
Yeah.
And that was, but also I think having that, sometimes I missed a show that I probably could have done, but you do start going, is this okay? And the amount of time you actually go on stage or something, you know what it's like.
Yeah,
you go,
your
I
voice,
can't do it.
You're just like worrying about your voice. Like so.
And also, no one else cares as well. I know after a while, but I've seen some shows where you hear someone crack or you hear someone and you don't go, that's appalling, or it's so, you do go mad. You go absolutely insane.
So only a few musicals because you want to keep your sanity.
Exactly.
Is over here, or are we? Yes, there you go.
Hi.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, hi. Working, great. Can you tell us about the difference if you're doing a show like Bridgerton with heavy dress up and stuff, and something like that than Paradise, where you just go on set in normal clothes and don't have to prepare much?
The difference between
Yes.
in terms of costume or in terms of
how you prepare, if you look into the times that the things are set and stuff.
I think that's a really good question. I'll try and answer as best I can. I think for me, there is something amazing about wearing kind of costumes, doing period costumes, or whether it's Merlin or Bridgerton, or you're very much stepping into different time, and so there's so much I think etiquette that comes around. You can't in Bridgerton, I can't walk in with my hands in my pockets, or I don't know. You have to be aware of your physicality more than if you're wearing a pair of jeans and coming in and doing it, trying to be as naturalistic. And sometimes playing those heightened versions of yourself, I find, is it easier? I don't know, I find you step on, you do feel slightly different. Whereas, for me, I think if I'm putting on jeans, I'm very aware of trying to be as natural as possible. If it's modern, you're trying to, it's hard to not hear yourself and go, that sounds a bit, this doesn't sound as everyday throwaway, that's not energized enough, I've got to be more energized. Or I don't know, there's sometimes a lot going on in your head, and sitting, you suddenly find yourself sitting in a way going, is that a character, or is that how I would sit? It's suddenly, it's almost harder, I think, sometimes being modern dressed, for me, personally. So I do like finding those different period, and kind of talking to the experts who are there and making sure I'm in the right kind of world, physically. And it does help you kind of step away from yourself. But then, it's quite nice to be able to turn up and try on a pair of jeans and then actually, without sharing too much, go, I can go for a week, whenever I like, and it takes me 2 minutes. So I think Bridgerton, most of us are holding in a week, because it's going to take about 45 minutes to take everything off. And so most scenes are literally going, I don't want to disrupt everyone. I think it's, I do kind of crave doing some period pieces.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is it sort of easier if you're in a period costume or period piece? Because in a way, some of your choices are made for you, and then when you're in modern, there's almost like too many choices?
Almost. I think it depends on the writing, and it depends on, because I do, but I love that, like trying to, there are too many choices, but also, I think there is something about the fact we don't stand up straight, or I certainly don't, and there is something of the etiquette, or or physical touch, or, I remember in Bridgerton, sometimes I think one scene I put my hand on someone's shoulder, and someone's like, oh, you can't do that.
You're engaged.
Oh, it's shocking, exactly. I was like, that might keep me in it for another season, but I don't. But no, I think there is something interesting with, again, with accents as well, playing different, doing things from different countries, or how we interact. I think there is something so interesting, and that's what for me, I want to play characters that are away from myself, and not. It's especially auditioning now and self-taping and hearing myself back more than I ever used to, because I used to go into audition, they would film and you would never watch it. Now you film yourself and you hear yourself, and it's really hard when we hear our own voices anyway. They're going, is that natural? Does that sound right? Or I think we're slightly more conscious of it.
Yes, yeah.
No, I say
yeah. And I find it so fascinating, something like Bridgerton, it's like literally a hand gesture, a word. It means something so much more than, oh, hi, how are you? Would just be, did you find as an actor sort of going, I want to imply or put this across, but the dialogue won't do it. I have to somehow work my way to saying something but not saying anything.
Yeah, I think a lot of times it is in kind of scripted, but it very much did have that kind of quality of, the unspoken, and how we play those looks, or and it was kind of that physical contact. In the episode, I'm trapped with an actor, a character, and then we are engaged because of that. And so it really does. I mean, there's so many amazing experts that you work with who will teach you all those things, and it's for women there's all the kind of fan work and all the things that has all this meaning, and it's just like a whole new. Okay, you have to go down that kind of rabbit hole of going,
a whole different language of.
I think it is extraordinary in that period of just. It is such a kind of glamorous world, and that kind of respect and kind of. It's so extreme, but just it's so interesting seeing that being part of that world, which is kind of has its problems as well. But there are so many things that are fantastic, and obviously some things that are rather backward.
My question is in the same direction with the period drama. What impressed you the most about a set like Bridgerton, or did you like it most, or surprised you the most about such a set?
The set?
Yeah.
I remember my first day driving up to, it was near Ascot, and there was a big race, a horse race going on. And that was, it was on location, but I just remember the sheer kind of scale of it. And Merlin was a big scale, but you suddenly turn up and see just the kind of the extreme, the amount of cameras. I learned the hard way going, the camera's there. And so when it wasn't on me, I was being silly, and then someone went, there's another 3. Oh, right, okay. But the sheer volume of supporting artists, and also the places we would turn up. Filming in Hampton Court, this amazing palace in London, and it would just be taken over, and there would be hundreds of supporting artists and some peacocks for no apparent reason, and it's like just everywhere you look, you are so kind of in the. It's very hard not to be swept away. But work, as I said earlier, has been done for you. So the kind of being in this incredible state behind is incredible, and then you turn up into the studio. And the artistry of the hallways and every room you go into, the level of detail is just extraordinary. I've never seen these incredible staircases that just go on and the rooms and it's it's just a whole. I mean, I've always been in awe of all the departments. That's the people who work so hard and make the show so incredible. It's just people at the top of the game being phenomenal, and these sets are, just incredible. It kind of ruins you. I had a tiny bit of work in my flat in London, and the builders come in and they go, "Oh, that'll do." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, on the set, there's a little dot. They're like, "Whoa, sorry, there's a little black dot there. Just I'll get rid of that. It needs to be perfect." But in real life, they're like, "Yeah, it's kind of fine." I'm like, "No, it's got to be like if you're not seeing the work I do, it's normally perfect." They're like, "That's fine. That's perfect in my world." So, yeah, it is. It's amazing.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
We're back up. I think you are again.
Where is it?
So I have another question, if that's all right. I love to ask this, so I just thought I'd ask you the same question. What is your favorite Disney movie, if you have one? Or if one is too difficult to choose, then what's your top 3?
Sorry, what's my favourite Disney movie?
Disney movie, yes.
And then top 3?
Or top 3 Disney movies.
Oh, okay.
One is too difficult to choose.
That's a very good question. Wow. Wow. Top 3 Disney. I'm going to go cartoons. I'm going to limit it to cartoon movies. Otherwise, that's hard. I've recently rewatched Encanto. I really enjoyed that. I'm going to put that in the top 3. It's 2 of us. Yeah. Thank God I got that right. In number 2, I think Frozen is probably pretty damn good as well. And I'm going to go Princess and the Frog in terms of the music's really good. Oh, I got more. Interesting. Frozen got nothing. They're my 3. Ask me tomorrow and there'll be a whole different 3, and I would have thought it. Tonight I'm going to be in bed and lying awake going, I missed that one. So, is that okay? Did I pass?
It's okay, yeah. I think the question was who actually named the more modern ones. Like,
More modern ones?
Like modern, kind of, like newer ones, because I asked this a lot in panels, and people usually go with Tarzan or Lion King or something like that. So it's interesting to choose.
No, sometimes it is. You go back to the ones you watched as a kid and go, oh, they have such a. I don't know. It's hard though. I do think some of the new stuff is. I don't know. I mean, they're all really, really great. I didn't say Chicken Little. I mean, that would be probably the first. I don't think I've ever seen that. Has anyone ever said Chicken Little's in their top 12? Anyone? No. Yeah, I mean, they made some great ones, but I always feel with the new ones when they've remade them, and I find that an interesting thing. The kind of remake when you're just trying to recreate something that was so perfect, and they're still good on their own. But it's a very interesting. Some of these movies are just some of the greatest movies ever made. It didn't matter that they're cartoons and they're not. So I don't know. I'm interested to know whether people do want them or I don't know. I'm not going to know.
Thank you so much for answering.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think that the house was also impressive. Thank God I said Frozen.
I have a different question. As an actor, what would you say has been your most memorable moment on set or filming?
Memorable time on set?
Yeah, of all time.
Ooh. My most memorable time. I think. I mean, last days of things can be quite. Could be quite memorable. I think I remember the last day of Merlin. It was such a bizarre. I don't know if people never really enjoy it. I think it's so big it doesn't really hit you till afterwards. But you think those are going to be massive moments, but I do remember that so clearly. What was the big? I think it probably is going back to probably the kind of dragon fight back in Merlin, when it was just night time and the raining and the fire, and then there was just so much going on. And yeah, and there was one particular moment that made us all laugh, which there was a group of us and we were told, right, you're going to have a bow and arrow, we're going to come along, we're going to set fire to the arrow, on 3, you're going to fire this arrow. We're like, okay, this is going to be so cool. And we're there, and the safety guy's like, well, you've got to be really, don't do anything stupid, this is really dangerous. We're like, okay. And this guy gets into the middle of the field and goes, well, right, similar to where you are, and said, right, aim at me. And we're like, this guy's insane. And we get to aim these fire arrows at him. I'm like, okay, this is really cool. Do not fire until we say go. And we're like, okay, this is going to be the coolest thing I've ever done. And we're all like, okay, ready, rolling, and action, and go. And we all fire these things, and they literally went about like 1 meter in front of us. They just kind of plopped down. And we were like, and then obviously they then added it in CGI afterwards. But we were like, this is gonna be, we're gonna look so cool. It's getting my Christmas card and this thing. Yeah. So for the wrong reasons, that was one of those memorable things. And actually another time was when I had to be on a horse, and the horse was meant to rear. And the French stunt guys who are incredible, had these amazing horses. They were saying, your horse is not really, doesn't like to do that. But we'll try and get him. And the stunt guy got on there, and they had these little spurs, and they were kind of digging into this poor horse. And then they gave me the spurs, and I'm going, I don't really know, like, how far back does the horse go? Like, can it fall back? I don't know. But I'm sitting going, trying to get this thing to go up, and it was just almost got smacked in the head with this horse. And then we had to gallop off, and I'd never ever galloped, ever. We'd had some lessons, never done it. And the first time I ever galloped was actually on camera. And again, they never chose somewhere that was safe to ride. They always chose places with rocks all around. So the fact I'm sitting here today is I'm very grateful for. So yeah, so there's a few things. So I had so many kind of memorable occasions. But yeah, I think some of those ones. And then other times when we would just group a lot of the guys together being absolutely ludicrous, I think. It was just trying to make people laugh, basically. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Now, I wanted to ask you that the whole sort of Bridgerton craze and all that, people have Bridgerton balls and communities and cities, and do you get invited to be a guest of, and have you ever been in, and are some of them just like huge, or you're just like,
no, I would love to. Actually, I think I'm going to one at the end of the year, my first one. Yeah, but yeah, I hear of these things. That's the weird thing, is it's so big, and you kind of realise in terms of wherever you go in the world, you know that people watch it. Also, maybe it's because I'm so scruffy, but very rarely do people. You don't get stopped as much. I think Merlin is still the show that I get recognised for. But it is such a, I don't know, like, it's so big that you kind of can't quite fathom. We had these secret cinema, Bridgerton in London, and I think they did that in the States as well, where people would go and dress up. And it's just the sheer amount of people who go and do that. Because it feels like it's not just the conventions. You have the incredible cosplay, but it feels like people go to conventions to do that. What I love is the fact that people go. How many people can sustain a 4-month run of secret cinema dressing up in Bridgerton fineries? It's like the people are desperate to do that. It is amazing. It's staggering that a show can have that much a following and people wanting to dress in that kind of certain way. I'm excited to do it, and long may I be invited to more.
Because I see at a Bridgerton ball outside of Christchurch in New Zealand on a homestead farm is beautiful, but these people, they spend all this time making their costumes, and the men stand around talking about, and many of them have made their suits, and they're just like amazing.
I think this is what I've learned from doing conventions for many years, but just that sheer, again, artistry of the costumes and the skill that people have, and I'm in such awe. Even back in the Merlin days, we filmed it before social media was quite as insane as it is now, and just seeing the level that people would edit videos together. Now everyone does it, but even back then, editing bits that they wanted, creating that kind of content was amazing, and then creating their own costumes. I've met many people dressed as me in different things, and just it blows my mind how many brilliant people there are who can have these incredible skills, and a lot of times they're just a side hobby. They also have an incredible job, but can also do this just for a bit of fun. I'm going, I'm so untalented. Yeah, so I know.
Wow. Oh, hello.
Me again. Talking about Disney, who's your favorite Disney princess? And we know the princesses all have dresses, gowns. You can tell who's who. They can talk to animals. They find their man. So is Merlin a Disney princess?
Interesting. That's a very good theory. Surely you've asked that out before. So I say yes.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, so close.
Oh, it was sitting down.
Too much.
Sitting down. And is there something that you would like to do now that's sort of different from all of that? Because you've done sort of more the very ancient, then you've done more the Regency, or would you like to do a Western?
I mean, that's always fun. I think that would be good. That would
use all your skills.
There we go. Put them all together. Yeah, I think maybe that's the next step, the next natural step. I think. Yeah, it's always kind of fun. I think the Western thing. I think that would be, or space, or Western. You heard it here first.
Now I think we have time for one more question. So if you want to ask it, you better get to the microphone or not. And was that no, they're frozen.
I always have more questions.
Thank you.
What would you say has been the biggest challenge as an actor you ever faced, and how did you manage to overcome that challenge?
Oh, very good question. Biggest challenge. Do you know what I think? There's two questions. I think sometimes the biggest challenge is when you're not working. I find like the biggest challenge is, I love this job that I do because it's so you have times when you meet fantastic people. You get to play lots of different characters, and when you're in work and you have lots to kind of get your teeth into and do work because you know you're going to be on set or on stage, and then when you start having time when you're not working, it's kind of nice for a little bit, but then you start. It's hard to it can be quite a lonely experience now. You don't necessarily meet so many people the kind of hardest work is, when you get an audition and you haven't worked for a little bit and you're trying to second guess what they're looking for and you're trying to remember what you can bring to a part and trying to be as natural as possible, as in you bring what I think the character needs, not what I think they're looking for. So for me, to answer that question, I'd say it's in the not working that is the most challenging. And I think how I overcome that is, which is an ongoing thing, but when it's working, it's trusting the process. In the 20 years I've been doing this, I've constantly gone, is this the last? Every job I have, I think it's my last. And I think, okay, this is good. And then I go, maybe I'm not going to work again. Maybe I'm not, and then you get a job, you go, of course I was going to work because I've done some other things. So yeah, so I think those are the hard things. But and actually to then go on, the things overcoming when I have been working, have been in a rehearsal room, or actually in Bridgerton. Some of my favourite days were when I would turn up, not quite knowing how the scene worked. Like obviously I knew my lines, and a lot of the scenes I had with Polly Walker would be, I would know it, but we would turn up and not quite know how the scene would play out. And we'd rehearse it, and it didn't always quite feel right, but the director would be like, okay, this is going to work with this, and then in rehearsal you suddenly find something, and when you kind of actually get to film it, you know exactly what it is. And for me, those it's trusting it, not trying to think of the finished product. It's kind of turning up and going, just react. You're both doing a scene. It's just react, relax, and breathe, and trust that you don't have to go, you don't have to know what is happening from every given moment. It's just kind of, I think what I've learned is just trying to breathe, know your lines really well, and be as free and flexible as you can, so that you can listen and properly perform. That's what I find works for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Young. That was, I thoroughly enjoyed that. And of course, he will be back again. So please put your hands together for the fabulous, lovely